Dave, thanks very much, and welcome to our Journey to the Tourney matchup in Madtown. And what a matchup it was last season. One of the most thrilling games all year in the Big Ten between Wisconsin and Michigan. And already both teams efficient at the offensive end, and that'll be a big factor today. Bob Wischusen here with Dan Dakich. And Dan, this should be a really interesting matchup as Stauskas steps back and hits a three.
Well, it already is. Terrific offense, both sides of the court. Michigan, previous possession, a little lob dunk to Jordan Morgan. This time a little step back jack for three.
This game went to overtime last season with Ben Brust hitting that memorable mid-court buzzer beater to force overtime, and now an errant outlet pass intercepted by Trey Jackson, and an easy two for Decker.
That'll kill you as a coach. Jordan Morgan, nice rebound, good defense. You throw it to the other team. When you're watching film, if you lose at the end of the game, that's one that makes you crazy.
LeVert pulls up. That comes up short, uncontested to Decker. Double team, it's Kaminsky. Shot clock winding down to 10. Finds Decker and tries to repost. Instead, it's Gosser who turns it over. And today's game is part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic. A season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. And if this was 1 week ago, you'd be talking about Wisconsin positioning themselves for a 1 seed down the road. They hadn't lost yet. How about their ability to bounce back off their first loss of the season? You were there Tuesday night in Bloomington.
Well, the one thing they have to do is clean up their defense against the drive. Indiana, 52 points. In the paint, it was all off a drive. One thing early in this game, if Michigan runs good offense, that means there's going to be the ball being reversed. If Wisconsin runs good offense, that means the ball's going into the post. No, it sounds simple, but it's not. Sometimes Michigan gets going 2 1-on-1. Like right there's a post.
Gosser shut down though. Derek Walton comes back the other way. Sets up LeVert. Passed on the three.
Like right there in the Indiana game, Yogi Ferrell would have been where Walton was, would have knocked it in or driven it.
LeVert knocks it in from three nonetheless. And it's a great start for the Wolverines. Up by a couple of buckets.
You don't want to play half-court offense against Wisconsin. You know, you want to play, get the ball down, get a reverse, get a shot, or get a drive quick. Secondary break.
Kaminsky facing up on Horford. Horford denies. Stauskas in transition finds John Horford. Makes the defensive play at one end, dunks it at the other, and an early timeout called by Bo Ryan. We'll step aside for 30 seconds and come right back. A great start on the road for Michigan. Were a huge factor in Wisconsin's loss on Tuesday, and some paint points there for Michigan.
Bob, it will show this at some point during the game what Wisconsin didn't do against Indiana, and they're doing the same thing here. Transition defense means first 2 steps, get back. First guy guards the bucket, but here's the bottom line. You got to sprint and you got to talk. And I'm telling you, I've never seen now for 42 or 44 minutes a more lethargic transition defense team than what I've seen out of Wisconsin these last 2 games. It's been ridiculous. You got to sprint and you got to talk.
Nigel Hayes in the game for the first time for the Badgers. Up, under, and in.
That was nice because John Horford has really played good defense, and Nigel Hayes just gave him the business right there, a little up and under.
Michigan at 12-4, but they're unranked. They are also unbeaten in the Big Ten at 4-0. First loss of the season for Wisconsin was Tuesday night against Indiana. LeVert 2 for 2 from downtown.
Bob, Ed, ball started left, came back right, went in the middle, went left, came back right for the shot. That's how Michigan has to play. They cannot play one-sided. They cannot play holding the ball driving.
If Tirico wants to trade schedules, I'll be there on Monday night next year.
Tuesday during the hoops?
I was thinking Monday Night Football. I was not signing up to spend more time with you. I think 1 day a week's enough.
I'll be getting tweets. Wish he was an 8 stockage. I can tell.
Shot clock down to 7. Hayes from the elbow. Does not get the bounce. And a chance for Michigan to extend their lead. Stauskas tried to give one up on a fancy pass to Horford and could not. When we return, we'll take a closer look at the struggles for Wisconsin on Tuesday.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
Transition defense trouble on Tuesday night for Wisconsin.
Well, look right here. You see Kaminsky and Will Sheehy are together. Sheehy starts sprinting. All right, so Decker's supposed to pick him up. Nobody's sprinting, and a silky layup or dunk, actually, by Sheehy. And now today, all right, transition. First guy back guarding the rim. Here's your first guy right here. He doesn't guard the rim. He runs out. Guard the rim, first guy. Horford keeps moving. Pass goes. Dunk. You have to communicate. You have to sprint. And you got to guard the basket. It's the least taught part of college basketball is transition defense. And I got to tell you, one of the best teachers, two of the best teachers are right here in Bo Ryan and John Beilein. But man, oh man, Wisconsin's been awful in terms of just energy getting back.
No team in the Big Ten has given up more paint points so far this season than Wisconsin. Is that the element of it? It's not throwing it to the post,
no.
Right? It's dribble penetration and transition defense.
Absolutely. It's such a perimeter-oriented team, and with guards, it's sometimes they just think as guards. They don't think as bigs.
Well, there's a way to score in the paint. Get an offensive rebound and stick it back up and in if you're Jordan Morgan.
Jordan Morgan and John Horford in the Big Ten, between them in the center position, are averaging 17 points and 10 rebounds. That's what John Beilein's getting out of that position. Now remember, best post kid in the country, or at least the most effective post kid in the country, is not playing. Mitch McGarry, he's hurt.
Decker muscles it up and in.
That's what Decker needs to do. He's not a jump shooter yet. Go to the rim, go big, strong, big, athletic. He gained 30 pounds since he's been here. Go dominate some folks.
Robinson off a curl, smoothly up and in for Glenn Robinson.
That is silky smooth right there. That's his dad. Just come off a screen, lift up, knock it in, and go back and guard somebody.
It's a 12-4 run for Michigan. That has opened up a 19-10 lead. Decker, one-on-one again, and he scores again.
You got to know who you are, right? I mean, Decker's an okay shooter, not great. More of a slasher, driver, strong, just overpowered Robinson.
Same spot for Robinson, same result, same play.
And I mean, Bo Ryan is crazy with Decker right now because he wants him to be on top and make Robinson back cut.
There's a little back cut for Hayes. Shovels one to Decker. Can't finish with the left hand. Michigan is shooting 82% from the field. And Levert flips one into traffic, a wild pass, and Brust is there for the steal. In transition, Gasser. He knocks down a three. It's a 5-point turnaround. Levert with the baby jumper. That's too strong. Decker the rebound.
What happened? No ball movement, no people movement. Levert held the ball. They don't score when that happens.
Nigel Hayes blocked inside by Stauskas, and it's out of bounds. Stauskas thought it was off of Hayes, but it will stay with Wisconsin when we come back. Love the Grateful Red. Tonight's game, part of My Home Court, our week-long celebration of the great college basketball arenas and venues around the country. And nothing makes an arena better than an alert student section. Well, the Grateful Red, and every now and then, a little slow on the uptake. But once they realize they're on television, it's a terrific venue. And it is reflected in the score that Wisconsin has and their record in this building with Bo Ryan at the helm. They're 191-18 overall, but in case you think they've loaded up on non-conference competition, well, no, they're 93-11 against Big Ten teams at home.
Guys, are truly amazing. When you look at that, Michigan has never won in this building. Indiana has never won in this building. That's unbelievable. Which is why he and Thad Matta go week to week with who has the best winning percentage in the history of the Big Ten.
Kaminsky sets up Gosser, who hits a three.
And Gosser's feeling it, smart by Bull Ryan. Closest guy to Kaminsky was Gosser, playing out of the post. You got no choice. You got to either go in or stay out. Zach Irvin went to the post. Gosser hit the three.
Stauskas turns the corner, and a great find for Horford.
What a pass. Bo Ryan wanted a carry. Stauskas playing in the middle of the lane is dangerous, really dangerous. Great vision.
Off a great night in Bloomington, Trey Jackson, who was 9 of 11 from the field against Indiana, can't hit there. Spike Albrecht just on, and he knocks down a three.
Every bucket he's had this year in the Big Ten has been a three. Again, no communication by Wisconsin. No sprint back, and then no figuring it out. Who's got who? They left Albrecht open.
Gosser maneuvers inside. That won't go. And Albrecht fouled by Jackson. Well, the American Athletic Conference highlights Saturday prime time. The game of the week tonight at 9. It's Russ Smith and Louisville taking on Shabazz Napier and UConn. Saturday prime time presented by DirecTV at 9 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN, as they'll take game day on the road twice at the Palestra this morning and at UConn tonight, as they will preview as soon as we're done the game between Louisville and the Huskies.
I have Napier on my first team midseason All-American list. He's just done everything for UConn. A lot of guys you can have, but I think Napier's been terrific, and I love Russ Smith. I don't care if it's good Russ or bad Russ. I don't have to coach him, so I like everything he does. If you had to coach him, it'd make you crazy, but fun kid to watch, a lot of heart.
It seems like he's provided more than a little bit of sanity, though, for Rick Pitino, as Robinson will go to the free throw line. We went 8+ minutes without a foul called, and now we've had a couple of fouls called in the last 60 seconds, and Robinson will shoot 2.
You know, Big Ten people always complain about calls that go Bo's way here in Kohl Center, but Big Ten people complain about calls in Mackey for Purdue, you know, or for Assembly Hall for IU. So that was a foul, plain and simple. You can't touch the shooter.
And Robinson hits a couple. What's Michigan shown you through the first 10 minutes of this game?
Ball movement and incredible unselfishness. And then on the defensive end, I think their post kids, whether it's Horford or Jordan Morgan, have been very, very solid taking away the basket.
Wolverines' largest lead, a 7-0 run. Kaminsky has a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play.
Freshman mistake by Zach Irvin here, and a great pass and finish by Kaminsky. If we could just pause it right here, Zach Irvin. Your job on this roll is to take away the post guy right here. You see Irvin jumps out. Kaminsky makes himself available, makes a terrific finish around the rim. Terrific pass, great finish, and as most times happens with something like that, a defensive error helps.
Kaminsky has raised his scoring average, as you can see, from last season at 4.2 points per game to 13.5 this year. There's only one other player in the Big Ten, Yogi Ferrell, that is scoring more points this season than they did last year. So Kaminsky has really, as he's gotten a chance to play even more, become the post threat that Bo Ryan needs.
Kaminsky can play inside out, absolutely. I mean, when he goes on the block, though, he's really effective. He's big. He's big in the hips. Long arms.
Stauskas, an easy look from 17 feet.
That's the third time, twice by Robinson, once by Stauskas there, that they've been able to curl into a jump shot. You know, when you're scouting Michigan, the first thing you take away is that wide pin down. And Wisconsin, uncharacteristically, has not done a very good job with it.
Bronson Koenig, freshman from La Crosse, Wisconsin. Hands to Kaminsky, who thought about a three. Now he picks up his dribble and finds Decker. 5 to shoot for Decker, who leans in. And that won't go out the window. Jordan Morgan clears.
Yeah, great move by Decker, but Zach Irvin kept him in front, showed his hands, didn't foul.
Albrecht off the heel.
Again, when they don't move the ball, when the ball doesn't go side to side, and they just decide to go with it after a set defense, doesn't work out.
Gasser gets Stauskas to commit, and he'll shoot 3.
Well, somewhere my old head coach, Coach Knight, is clapping from the shot fake. You know, too many times guys let the defender go past them, duck under, and just go get fouled. A foul is great. It gets you to the bonus quicker, obviously. This kid's 85% free throw shooter.
Well, make note when these teams get to the line today.
Yeah.
Because neither of these teams puts the opposition at the line, generally speaking, at all. And these are two teams that are tops in the country in fewest fouls per game and fewest turnovers per game. High efficiency, and we have not had a lot of whistles here in the first half so far.
Wouldn't you say, Bob, in theory, this should be the fastest game of the year in college basketball?
Well, jinxed, especially for the guys that have flights that are trying to run to the airport after the game's over. That was a really nice job.
Seriously, both teams, they don't foul, they don't turn it over, they handle the ball and move the ball. This game ought to be over in a buck and a half.
Absolutely. Let the guys on game day know they're on at 7:20. Stauskas fades away and knocks it down. He averages close to 18 a game.
You know, Stauskas, you like to see him have success because nobody works harder. I mean, that kid loves ball, doesn't like ball, loves ball, is obsessed with basketball.
Rust turns the corner.
Ken Rust is good in every area. Terrific defender, shoots really tough on the backboard, and you see there, able to finish.
Stauskas shoves a one-hander, a little strong from the free throw line. And here comes Trayvon Jackson. Rust for 3. Rolls it home. Timeout called by Michigan.
Defensively, don't stand. You know what I mean? There's always something to do. Here's a ball screen. All right, watch Trey Jackson now on the bottom here. Just kind of stands, lets his guy come out and get a 3. All right, now here's a drive. Watch the middle. Everybody looking at the basketball, right? Nobody's hustling. Fake at the ball. Be ready. Look, my body, right side of my body can be faking at the ball as long as the left side of my body knows I'm going back to my man. It quickens your mind, quickens your body.
It's an ACC Big 12 doubleheader on Big Monday. First at 7, the Tar Heels coming off their first ACC win today. Will take on Virginia. And then at 9, Andrew Wiggins and the Jayhawks taking on Isaiah Austin and Baylor. Big Monday presented by Verizon. UNC against UVA at 7, and then Baylor, Kansas at 9.
I think that's a little crossover, right? Jeff Van Gundy doing Jay Billis doing Monday night ACC.
That's the early game with Sean McDonough, the Virginia-North Carolina game.
I love listening to Van Gundy do NBA games. NBA guys have such a different view than what college guys have. That's great.
When Robinson leans in and gets it swatted by Frank Kaminsky. Will step aside. It's a 10-4 Wisconsin run to make it a 4-point game.
But Oklahoma State comes fighting back. Phil Forte, his 7th 3 of the game, gets this one to within 1, Coach.
Comes right through the elevator. They close the doors, knocks down to 3.
Frank Mason with the miss here on his 2nd free throw. So down 2. The Pokes with a chance, but LeBron Nash can't even get the shot off. Kansas holds on for the 2-point victory. Bob, Dan, back to you.
What a terrific game that turned out to be. We're off to a good start here at Cole, and we take a look at our one-on-one. This is a defensive coordinator's nightmare if it's a football game, because these are two teams that just don't make mistakes.
Yeah, and this is a reflection of 2 great coaches. You know, there's a saying in sports, victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes. Doesn't mean you're going to win every time. It just means it favors you.
Stauskas tried to wrap one around to Horford. Loose ball. Horford actually came together, and they have banged heads with Robinson. And that becomes a turnover.
You know, it's funny. A couple weeks ago, Northwestern, took on Wisconsin at Northwestern. Wisconsin had 4 turnovers in the entire game. I asked Bo Ryan after, clean game, only 4 turnovers. He said, yeah, I'm mad about those 4. They were stupid. All right. Most coaches would love only 4 turnovers in a 25-point lead.
Well, the Badgers haven't turned it over in nearly 12 minutes, and they've taken a 10-point lead for Michigan and cut it down to 4, trying to get closer here. Decker can't hit the 3.
Again, Decker needs to drive. He's an okay shooter, but you don't expect it to go in when he shoots.
Stauskas walls off Jackson, and then he's left alone and misses the free throw line jumper.
That's a nice little move. We saw Yogi Ferrell do it Tuesday. Use your rear end to wall off the defender. Make him make a choice. An open look, didn't get it in.
Kaminsky with an up fake. Sets up Jackson for 3. That's no good. Robinson attacks and scores.
But you saw, rarely do you see that out of Robinson. Robinson has a quick first step, but you don't see it all the time, and he blasted by his man. Then he has a great jump. He laid that in at about 11 feet in the air.
He's in double figures for the 14th time this season, and he's averaging over 16 points a game in Michigan's last 8. So he's gotten better as the Big Ten schedule has started.
Yeah, he's been great in the Big Ten, really good.
Brust is able to knock down a 3.
Hey, that was set up by a shot fake by Kaminsky that got Horford off his feet and behind Kaminsky. Walton came to help. Next thing you know, wide open Brust.
Both teams with 4 made triples. You can see Michigan is still perfect at 4 for 4. Clock under 10. LeVert, little old school one-hander, rattles it home, and it's 36-31.
Michigan setting a ball screen. Wisconsin plays it soft from the screener, and Michigan is just getting into the lane constantly. Wisconsin may have to go to hedge it pretty hard.
Kaminsky fights one up and in, and a pump fist for Frank Kaminsky.
This is not your father's Wisconsin. They want to go up and down. They're going to shoot quick. Kaminsky getting it in the post, passing it on the perimeter. Terrific two-way player.
Harris LeVert, mid-range won't go. Kaminsky has it stripped away by LeVert, and he's got a chance for a 3-point play.
What a play by LeVert. Kaminsky made a terrific play. Got the rebound, and LeVert did what guards are supposed to do. He stayed with it. Watch this. All right, watch Kaminsky. He's making a really good play. Gets up, gets back into the fray, gets rebound, brings it down. Watch him bring it down below his waist, right there. And LeVert steals it, flips it in left-handed.
You take a look at Karis LeVert. He and Nick Stauskas stayed in Ann Arbor over the summer for weight training. Stauskas added 16 pounds. According to the Michigan people, LeVert added 27 pounds. Now take a look at 23 in maize and blue. Where are you going to take 27 pounds off of his frame as he takes it away again? Here's Robinson. Swoops in and scores.
So athletic going to the rim, and Trey Jackson just lost the ball, and Robinson capitalized.
The crowd's a little restless here in Madtown. They're actually mad, literally, as Nigel Hayes is called for an offensive foul. And that takes us to the under 4 timeout. Michigan shooting 68% from the field.
This is really good offense and very, very, very mediocre defense. Michigan's pushing the ball, and they're doing it all day. And you see right here, guy in the corner, guy on the wing, that makes it tough. Nigel Hayes under the bucket just kind of hanging out. Nobody talks. Spike Ulbrich takes advantage of it. And then in transition, Robinson just kind of floating down. Russ comes out, jumps around. Nobody helps him. Nobody guards the bucket. Robinson too quick and too athletic. First guy, look, when you pick up the ball, you got to stop it, period.
Robinson Robinson leans in from the free throw line. Sets up Stauskas. That's no good.
Bad possession by Michigan. Good defense by Wisconsin. Ball didn't swing for Michigan. And when it does not swing or get in the middle, bad things happen.
Wisconsin's turned it over on their last 3 trips. That's news for a team that's #1 in the country in fewest turnovers per game at barely over 8. Make it 4 straight trips. Except it looks like LeVert was standing on the sideline, so it will stay with the Badgers. On Monday, a special holiday edition of the NBA on ESPN. Paul Pierce and the Nets take on Carmelo and the Knicks on Martin Luther King Day. A battle of the boroughs. Brooklyn takes on New York Monday, 2:30 ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN.
I saw the Knicks against Indiana this week. Most pathetic effort I've ever seen by an NBA team ever was by the Knicks against Indiana. They had no interest, no heart, no design. In fact, they should have just walked up and said, you know what, we don't need our check for this game because we didn't care. I was thinking, if you paid money to watch the Knicks after that performance, good for you. You must have a lot of money.
It looks like Mike Kitts and the officiating crew. It looks like now Steve McJunkins will be in communication at the table. They want to check the shot clock and see whether or not the shot clock should be reset. I guess the determination is whether or not Karis LeVert had complete possession of the ball before he stepped on the sideline, because you could see the shot clock was reset. Should it have been reset?
Yeah, I think it should. I think LeVert had control of the ball, so I think you just reset it and let's go. But, you know, Larry Scarrato talks like you guys from the East Coast, and he was talking so fast I couldn't tell what he said to the referee.
He was talking about how they're taking a look at the shot clock to see whether or not it should be reset.
I know, but I think right there, I think LeVert had the ball and had possession. So the shot clock, in my opinion, should be at 35, giving it back to Wisconsin.
And it looks like Mike Kitts is saying leave it right where it is.
I swear, if I ref, these things would take about 2 seconds. Hey, let's go. Here you go.
Hey, you sounded just now, by the way, talking about the Knicks-Pacers game, like the cartoon bubble coming out of Mike Woodson's head as he gave the post-game press conference, talking about his team just taking a gut punch from the Pacers and not responding.
Mike Woodson would be lucky to get fired and not have to travel and watch that crew every night. I mean, that would be like, pay me, but fire me. That crew's awful.
Decker gets it rejected by Jordan Morgan, who came over and provided help, and here comes Derek Walton.
That's what we were talking about, Bob.
LeVert has it blocked, but a foul called. Second on Nigel Hayes.
Michigan is getting great play from Morgan and Horford. You know what I like about Michigan? Mitch McGary is arguably the best post kid in the country, or the most effective. Look at this block coming over here by Morgan. And he's out for the season. And Michigan doesn't ever talk about it. Like, John Beilein, it had to be pried out of him to talk about the kid even being out. There are some programs where if a guy has sniffles or he misses a game, oh, we're so banged up. Hey, Sobolewski did not play today, the point guard for Northwestern. And Northwestern went in and beat Indiana, and Northwestern never talked about Sobolewski. Wisconsin, 3 kids had the flu playing Indiana, and Bo Ryan was mad when you and I talked to him because we even knew about it. But there are other teams, it's like, oh, some guy's got the sniffles, so we're banged up. It's ridiculous.
The biggest lead equaled for Michigan at 10, but now it's down to 7 as Gosser knocks down a triple.
Told you, Gosser's on fire. Get him the ball. Feeling it tonight. Made 3 threes.
Offensive foul. Robinson moving screen on Gosser. Well, you mentioned what you were talking about with the absence of McGary, and talking to John Beilein before the game, I asked him about Jordan Morgan and John Horford in combination, trying to replace Mitch McGary. And John Beilein said, we won a Big Ten title with Jordan Morgan as our everyday starting center. Yeah. Translation, don't ask me about Mitch McGary. It's gone. It's over. We're moving on. We don't care.
And other teams, the first thing they talk about. Like, nobody really cares if you're hurt. I mean, great move by Rust. I lost my 2 best players for 7 of the 10 years at Bowling Green. Nobody cares.
Somehow I knew this story would work its way back to the life of Dan Dawkins.
It's just like, Michigan lost McGarry. They don't even talk about it. I respect it.
LeVert, no good.
Ball didn't move, did it? It's got to keep moving. You can't just take it off one pass.
Jackson rises up, accident out.
That's the one he was knocking in against Indiana, particularly the start of the second half.
Stauskas off the screen. Decker the rebound. Kaminsky sets the screen for Gosser, who splits the D and sets up Brust. That's no good. Kaminsky, an offensive rebound. Trayvon Jackson drives it. Doesn't get the roll. In amongst all the trees, Brust with a hustle play.
Wow.
And a fresh 35.
4 guys from Michigan. One guy for Wisconsin. That one guy was the littlest guy in that scrum, and Brust came out with it. I love watching that kid play.
Only 6'1" and still averages 5 rebounds a game. Gosser against the freshman Derek Walton into the double team. Can't save it. A turnover by the Badgers.
That was totally made by Jordan Morgan. Gosser on the block is very dangerous. Gosser was going to the middle. He spun to the baseline, did not know Morgan was there. Ball goes out of bounds.
Gosser a little slow to head back to the other end. When you saw each of these two teams with 6 first-half turnovers, normally that's an acceptable number, but these are two teams that neither of which even averages over 9 turnovers a game.
It wouldn't surprise me if we went 1 turnover a team second half.
Closing moments of the first half, and a turnover by Michigan.
That was great defense by Wisconsin. That's a little isolation for Stauskas going to his right. And Morgan opposite. Wisconsin just walled it off, forced a turnover.
Foul to give, and Caris LeVert does just that.
Foul to give, and they actually foul.
Each team with 5, so each team still with a foul to give.
Remember last year?
I
Nobody
remember.
would foul.
Let's see if LeVert gives another, and he does. That's 2 quick ones on Caris LeVert.
Yeah, now you got to be a little careful if you're LeVert. LeVert's too valuable to pick anything else up, even though they do still have 1 more to give.
Here's Trayvon Jackson. He'll have to put one up. Leans in, blocks by Stauskas, and it will be a 5-point lead at halftime for Michigan. Twice they led by 10 in the first half.
Well, Wisconsin's not going anywhere, and Gosser and Brust are feeling pretty good about themselves. This is going to be a heck of a second half.
And we'll have that second half coming up. Michigan by 5. And did they shoot well in the first half? Time to go back to the studio. Chris Cotter, the Mazda halftime report. The halftime show produced the loudest cheers we've heard at the Kohl Center so far because Wisconsin struggled in the first half. Down by 5 to Michigan as we bring you back to half number 2 of tonight's Journey to the Tourney presented by Sonic, a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. And this one could have some far-reaching impacts for both teams. Bob Wischusen and Dan Dockich said for half number 2. In half number 1, Michigan shot the lights out, over 60% from the field.
Man, they shot 61%, and they did it any which way you wanted, going on the block, running, and in transition, they were spectacular. Glenn Robinson did it in a variety of ways. One way was in transition. This is the first bucket of the game, little back screen. Brust switches to Robinson, and Robinson just takes advantage of the smaller Brust. He has done it inside, he's done it outside, and here's a staple of John Beilein's offense, the wide down screen. And you're going to see just a little curl. Number 10, Nigel Hayes, doesn't know where to go. When you have a little bit of hesitation against a guy playing hard like Robinson, he's going to eat you up. 5 of 6. Robinson has 12. Really good so far.
What has to tighten up for Wisconsin in half number 2?
You know, their help. They got it right there. You can't let the ball get in the lane. The ball is constantly getting in the lane. How do you do that? You bring your post guys up on the ball screen, and you challenge at the point of the screen. Wisconsin's too soft with their bigs on the ball screen.
That's now 20 paint points for Michigan. Kaminsky tries to answer and cannot. Morgan the rebound. Michigan hasn't won in this building since 1999. That's their only all-time win in this building, and they've never won at the Kohl Center when Bo Ryan's been the head coach of Wisconsin. Wisconsin has led for only 33 total seconds in this game, and Trey Jackson had his pocket picked by Derek Walton, but Glenn Robinson couldn't control the loose ball.
You know, that's the second time, and Trey Jackson losing the ball is a rarity. Usually he's as good as any guard you're going to find. It's sprinting the ball, protecting it, getting it to the elbow. Lost in the first half, resulted in a bucket. Lost it there, got lucky.
Foul by Morgan. Trey Jackson was unconscious in Bloomington on Tuesday night. 9 of 11 from the field. He's a double-digit per-game scorer, but has not gotten a point so far in this one.
It's hard to come back after a big night when you're not used to it. You know, a guy like Stauskas is used to it. And the reason it's hard is because you're at a completely different level of attention. It's a good move and good finish by Kaminsky, but you see it. You know, Indiana today loses Northwestern, couldn't handle a big win. That happens individually. You relax, you forget what you did to get there. You think every game's going to be easy. And I think that's a little bit of what's happened to Trey Jackson. He just seems a little bit distracted by what happened a couple nights ago.
This is Wisconsin, though, coming off a big loss. Should their reaction be different as Walton comes up short?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As a team, it's one way.
Great save by Decker.
But a subset of that is the individual. I don't think Wisconsin's had any problem playing hard in this, or at least competing in this game, but Trey Jackson's had a little problem getting himself going.
You lost me on subset.
That was an eligible guy.
Rust. No good. As he tried to take Walton down to the post. Here comes Robinson. He'll go up. Some contact. Ball out of bounds. The officials will conference. No foul was called, and they'll give it over to the Badgers.
That was terrific defense in transition. Robinson had a full head of steam, but hey, Wisconsin guarded the basket, showed their hands, moved their feet, got the turnover.
That was Gosser that got back to stop Robinson.
Gosser's good in so many ways, and again, last year Gosser was out for Wisconsin. Bo Ryan and his staff never said a word about it.
Decker can't hit. Morgan tried to save it as LeVert threw an errant post-entry pass. It was a switch that Morgan had Ben Brust caught in, but Michigan couldn't set him up.
That's where Michigan likes to play from the middle, but sometimes LeVert and Stauskas get in the middle and get a little casual with their down post feeds. Oh, you kind of feel a run coming through Wisconsin, Bob. You just kind of feel it.
Jackson might try to get it started, fades away, still doesn't have a field goal. And here comes Karis LeVert running the other way. To the corner to Walton for three. Long rebound, fresh 35. Who needs it? Right down to Robinson in the box. Trey Jackson is now 0 for 6 from the field. Walton leans in and finishes.
That was strong by Derek Walton. He stayed low right in the middle of the lane. And it's just a little extra dribble got him pushed to get it in through contact.
That's the freshman's first basket. Frost off a curl. Has it slapped away by Karis LeVert.
As I said, there's no run coming here. Michigan going to go on a run.
Good prediction.
Just felt like Michigan was missing shots.
They were, but Wisconsin has not been able to capitalize.
Can't get the rebound. That was Walton's bucket was off a second opportunity.
Wisconsin's missed 9 of their last 10 from the field. Stauskas with 12 to shoot, resets. 7 on the time. Stauskas rises up and knocks it down. And a foul called underneath. Was that a shove called on Trayvon Jackson on the bucket by Stauskas? We'll have to check the call, but it's a 9-point lead for Michigan. Nine-point lead for Michigan. Bob Wischusen, Dan Dockich here in Madison, and Dan takes us inside the play.
Well, Michigan's up for a lot of reasons, and this is the biggest one right here. Ball screen defense. Look at Kaminsky right here in the middle of the lane, number 44. He needs to be up here. If he's up there, that takes away much of what Robinson and Stauskas are doing. But by being back, Bob, Robinson and Stauskas are 6'6". They're just shooting over Kaminsky at 12 feet. Bo Ryan does that. He plays it soft a lot of times on ball screens, and right now it's killing him.
We just watched it while we were away. The last bucket that Stauskas had was another example of exactly that, right? Kaminsky sagging off the ball screen.
And that's, Bo Ryan likes to play it that way, make you shoot jump shots. But in this case, Stauskas and Kaminsky, or excuse me, Stauskas and Robinson, too good so far.
That foul before we went away was on Jordan Morgan, by the way. And that's his third. So he's on the bench now. Shot clock at 6. And Bruss tosses up an air ball. So Morgan, the first player for either team in any kind of foul trouble. But that brings John Horford back on. And Horford has been productive when he's had a chance to play. Here's Horford. Knocks it down.
You know what Horford does? Horford gets in the gym an hour after every game. And he works on that shot right there, baseline shot, foul line shot, pick and pop shots. Horford made that shot because of how hard he works.
His brother Al was having an amazing year for the Hawks before tearing his pectoral muscle and having surgery. So unfortunately, he's out for the year, but he was averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds a game in Atlanta.
His brother Al's a superstar.
And a foul called, it looks like, on Stauskas as we take a look at tonight's Sonic Showdown. And we're keeping track. Both of these teams don't foul much, don't turn it over much, but the numbers are up a bit against each other tonight.
Yeah, well-coached teams. Michigan has thrown the ball away, been loose with it a few times, as had Wisconsin. But as this game settles in, it's going to be determined by toughness things. Who's going to get a loose ball? Who's going to make a tough jump shot?
Nigel Hayes draws a foul. So he will go to the free throw line. And a chance to remind you, the American Athletic Conference highlights Saturday Primetime's game of the week tonight at 9 in stores. It'll be Russ Smith and Louisville taking on Shabazz Napier and UConn. Saturday Primetime presented by DirecTV at 9 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN, as those two teams are conference rivals for one more year in a newly named conference. And then, of course, next year Louisville will be departing for the ACC.
See this kid right here, Nigel Hayes. Let me tell you a story about him. When they played in Bloomington Tuesday, Monday night, he called the coach and athletic director at Bloomington North High School. I probably shouldn't tell this story, but he and I believe it was Vito Brown, another freshman, went to Bloomington North High School to work on their game for an hour after everybody was in bed. I mean, that's why Vito Brown's, or excuse me, that's why Nigel Hayes is playing well.
Trayvon Jackson passed on a hit ahead to Decker. The crowd was urging for the pass. And now Decker has his shot blocked. Stauskas comes the other way. LeVert left alone for 3. Knocks it down, and Michigan answers again. Their largest lead. Bo Ryan is furious, but it's the Wolverines on top by 12.
Bo Ryan is as red as the lane right now. He thought his guy got fouled.
Frost on a curl. Picks up his dribble. Trayvon Jackson. That's his first bucket.
They need him down the stretch. He's as clutch a player and the best lead, or one of the best leaders in the Big Ten. If they're going to make a comeback in this game, Trayvon Jackson's going to be big time involved.
And now Michigan has to spend the second half trying to hold on to this lead, shooting right to the teeth of the Grateful Red. But a foul called, and let's go back to the call at the other end, or lack thereof, on Decker.
That's a foul. That's a foul two ways. There was a foul on the shot, and then there was a foul on the body. That no call leads to this 3, so the old 5-point swing. And it's one thing to miss the call on the body, and it's another thing to miss the call on the hand or the arm. You can't miss both in the same foul. That should have been 4 free throws.
Looked like both became one of those cartoon thermometers. Stauskas hits it through.
Good as that.
The largest lead grows for Michigan.
You know, when you talk about most valuable players in the Big Ten, Keith Appling certainly in the conversation. Nick Stauskas right there with him.
The Wolverines have only missed 1 from three-point land, 6 of 7. Dukin just came on and throws a wild one up. Hayes saves it, and it's out of bounds off Horford. The ball never hit the rim, so 6 on the shot clock for Wisconsin. Zach Irvin, another freshman, comes back on for Michigan, replacing Robinson.
This ball's got to get to Jackson.
It does. He spins, gives it up, beating the buzzer. Here's Dukin, but he can't hit.
Jackson made a really nice play, freeing his best shooter, second best shooter, Dukin. He's been quiet, Gasser. Haven't heard anything from him second half.
Zach Irvin hits another straightaway jumper.
Right in the middle of the lane. Nobody jumps out. 6'6" athletic kid Irvin. That's a layup for college basketball players going to their right in the middle of the lane.
Jackson off to Hayes. The up fake gets Horford to commit. He'll go to the line, but Michigan has outscored Wisconsin by 10 in the second half.
You got to go over screens when you've got shooters. Watch right here. A couple guys get passed off. Go into screens. Stauskas going to make you pay.
ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. And on Tuesday night, the journey continues in East Lansing. Keith Appling and the Spartans host Indiana. ESPN's Journey to the Tourney. Indiana, Michigan State, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. And the Hoosiers will be trying to bounce back off of a terrible loss at home today to Northwestern. And you've got Michigan and Wisconsin in the top 5, trying to chase down Michigan State, playing each other in our game this afternoon. Another Journey to the Tourney game here in Madison.
Well, one of the reasons this is such a big game for both, Wisconsin has a great schedule ahead. I mean, they don't have to go to Michigan State. They don't have to go to Ohio State. So this is set up nice for them, but you can't lose some home games.
Have you looked at Michigan's schedule over the next 3 weeks? Brutal. As soon as we get a whistle, we'll show you what Michigan has on the horizon. It doesn't get any easier than what they're facing right now here at the Cole. Stauskas for 3. That's off the mark. Some contact, and Robinson called for the foul. Let's take a look. Over the next 10 games, the highlights for Michigan, including tonight. They've got Wisconsin twice, Iowa twice, Michigan State twice, and they play Indiana and Ohio State on the road. Now throwing games against Nebraska and Purdue, but that's between now and late in February for the Wolverines.
Yeah, that's why I said at the top, they're desperate for a win. With Wisconsin coming off a loss, you feel they're vulnerable. That is an absolute brutal schedule.
That is the gauntlet if you're a Wolverines fan.
And if you haven't seen Iowa.
A steal by Albrecht. Gets some contact and almost got it to the front of the rim, so Spike Albrecht will go to the free throw line.
You know, one of the things that Michigan does on the back line is really communicate, and I go to Jordan Morgan. You know, Spike Albrecht ends up with this shot here, and he gets fouled and all that, but man, on the back line, underneath the basket, Jordan Morgan, Zach Irvin, and Glenn Robinson, with this particular group, have done a spectacular job of calling out switches.
Sam Decker back on, replacing Trayvon Jackson. Robinson and Morgan, the 2 players in foul trouble for Michigan. They've got 3 fouls each. And Spike Albrecht, who was in the national title game, worldwide trending on Twitter last year when he came on after Trey Burke got into foul trouble and made 4 threes in the first half against Louisville.
You know, what people don't really know,
Now he gets called for a foul here.
he got held on he was holding on Bruss's back cut, but Spike was going to start the second half along with Bird, but had gotten knocked around and was a little bit loopy in the locker room, at least according to his dad, Chuck, who, by the way, is one of the great bitty basketball players of all time back in Gary, Indiana. Grew up with Chuck. But they were hesitant to put him in because he was knocked around a little bit, not feeling great.
Russ knocks down the front end. That was team foul number 7 against Michigan. So for a team that doesn't foul often, this is a big factor. Wisconsin could shoot a fair number of free throws here in the second half.
Yeah, that's a huge factor because Wisconsin's offense does not look good. To finish up on Albrecht, you gotta love that he tweeted Kate Upton to try to get a date. Too bad for her, she didn't respond.
Which puts Spike in a huge majority of Kate Upton Twitter followers. Ross down the lane, gives it up. Dukin leans in, scores.
That's what Wisconsin has to do, play with a little more determination. Hey, Bruss just went into the lane and figured out, I'll figure this whole thing out later. He did, Dukin delivered.
Stauskas shovels one underneath to Morgan, who bobbled it for a moment, but got the reverse to go.
Man, Stauskas showed great patience. And again, when you let a good, versatile player handle the ball comfortably in the middle of the floor, in a mismatch, good things are going to happen. That's what happened there.
Decker gives it up to Kaminsky. Stauskas in the lane again, fouled by Gosser. With 12 on the shot clock as we take a look at tonight's Wendy's Wooden Watch. And Glenn Robinson with 14 points, 6 of 8 from the field. A preseason top 50 candidate. And soon this list will be cut in half as we move deeper and deeper into the season. And we'll be keeping our eyes on some of the best players throughout the season on our Wendy's Wooden Watch.
Right now, my player of the year is Doug McDermott. Doug McDermott's been so good. Actually upped his points per game in the Big East.
LeVert banks it home.
When it's going, it's going. But again, where did they get the ball, Bob? Middle of the floor, because the man guarding LeVert gets screened and the post guy isn't moving up to help.
LeVert's up to 18 points. Gosser, that's his first field goal attempt of the second half. Offensive rebound for Decker, and he knocks it down.
That's just a matter of determination. And the last 3 offensive possessions by Wisconsin have been much more determined.
Can they get stops?
That's determination, too. Gosser's done an all right job for the most part, guarding the high ball screen, but everybody else is failing.
LeVert gets to the baseline, and Michigan adds to an over 60% shooting percentage for the game as they continue to score at will. Gosser had 13 in the first half. He is scoreless in the second half. Here to Kaminsky, who'll drive it off the fake and simply lost the ball. Stauskas this time has it taken away by Dukin.
That's what I'm talking about. Stauskas and LeVert sometimes get a little casual with their passing.
That 3 won't go for Brust.
Michigan, you might want to use a little clock here. If they do, it's usually to the high post. They'll hit Horford at the high post and cut guys through, or just dribble it out by the top of the key.
Stauskas for 3. That comes up just a hair short. Wisconsin shooting 31% in the second half, and they're down 13.
Michigan getting anything they want.
Kaminsky for three. That's no good. Decker had it just slip over his fingertips to Levert. And a timeout called by John Beilein.
Hey, Michigan has a ton of weapons. You see that kid right there, Karis LeVert? Look at the post guy. He's not coming out to challenge, and when it's going, the bank is open sometimes. And then other times, it's just a straight drive away from the ball screen. This kid too long, too athletic to stop around the rim.
Best venues in college basketball, and for Bo Ryan, my home court, oh, that's the Kohl Center. A .914 career win percentage, the most home wins of any Big Ten team for their head coach. 10-0 against Michigan in this building with Bo Ryan on the Wisconsin bench, but that success is in jeopardy to say the least with 6:47 to go. Bob Wischusen here with Dan Dockich, and it is a 13-point Michigan lead, and they've got the ball.
Well, if Bo Ryan and Wisconsin go get back in this, number one, they got to hit some shots. And they've had some decent look. Kaminsky, Brust have had two good looks. But on this end, they've got to figure a way to keep men in front of them.
Karis LeVert gets to the lane again, sets up Horford. But the timing thrown off, and so a reset for the Wolverines with 10 to shoot. LeVert pulls up left of the lane, rattles it in and out.
Same thing there, though. Gosser got beat. LeVert had a great look. Got to make these.
Gosser does just that, a triple, and that's a big shot momentum-wise for Wisconsin, down by 10.
There is a ton of time in this game. There's no need to panic. Wisconsin just keep taking the shots that they've been getting, but you got to load up here.
It's the first make for Wisconsin in their last 6 three-point attempts. Better defense that time by Kaminsky. 3-on-2, now a 3-on-3. Kaminsky's got the freshman Zach Irvin in the post. Spins to the baseline. Gets it to go.
Absolutely. When the ball goes on the block, good things happen for Wisconsin. And for Michigan, when the ball gets small. Last possession, LeVert had it, kept it one side. Here comes the crowd.
LeVert much deeper this time. Gosser thought he was fouled, got tied up with Robinson. Nigel Hayes, yes! We've got a whistle. And I'm not sure if John Beilein understands why the game was stopped. It's a 7-0 Wisconsin run, and the lead is down to 6.
Bob, they're going to look at Gosser and Robinson getting tied up to see if there was a shot to the head.
Well, there was no foul called on the play, as the play was allowed to just continue. But now Mike Kitts is at the monitor, and we'll step aside for just a moment.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Audi. Truth in engineering.
Dan Dockich, I'm Bob Wischusen. 4:45 to go in regulation time. It's a 6-point game. Glenn Robinson got tied up with Josh Gosser, and the left arm caught Gosser under the chin. That was what the officials went to the monitor to review. And Dan, Mike Kitts just came over and explained the ruling, which was nothing.
Yeah, he said they didn't size him up. It's just a basketball play, and I totally agree. Hey, this is the Big Ten. I don't, all the bleeding hearts across the country that don't want anybody touching anybody in basketball. In the Big Ten, occasionally, guys do touch one another. That's just a basketball play.
If anyone wants to find Dan Dockich by tomorrow, he will be bear hunting with only a knife.
Darn right.
Because that's the lifestyle you lead.
You're darn right.
It'll stay with the Wolverines. 4.5 minutes to go, and it's a 6-point advantage for Michigan. Now, it was a 5-point game at halftime. In the second half, Wisconsin has never been within 5. They have trailed by as many as 15.
Well, Wisconsin has picked up their on-ball defense. And you see right there, Kaminsky came out and took away the shot.
Not that time, and Stauskas couldn't make him pay.
That was a missed switch going back the other way. Wisconsin got lucky. Now Wisconsin's got to play through the post. Have to play through the post.
And they'll throw it down to Nigel Hayes. Sets up Kaminsky for 3. Drills it! John Beeline wants to settle his team down. It's a 1-possession game. A 10-0 Wisconsin run to cut a 13-point game down to 3.
Yeah, played through the post. Nigel Hayes had made a bucket. So Horford had to go, give a little bit of help, and Kaminsky, as he does, can knock it in from the top of the key. Terrific offense by Wisconsin.
On Monday night, 2 of the best in the business will team up for the ACC battle between the Tar Heels and Cavaliers, as it will be Sean McDonough joined by Jeff Van Gundy from the NBA side, and Jay Billis, his normal partner. It's Big Monday presented by Verizon. North Carolina, Virginia at 7 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN as Jay joins Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Breen for the Knicks-Clippers call at the Garden. And now they'll team up on the college side on Big Monday.
Is that a punishment having to do a Knicks game? If you're Michigan, something going to the rim. Ball's got to move, something going to the rim.
Stauskas throws it to nowhere. Loose ball. Robinson saves it off Decker, and it will still, with 11 seconds on the shot clock, be Wolverine basketball when we come back. What a finish at the Cole.
Chris Cotter in studio. Coming up next on ESPN, Louisville at UConn. But before we get to the game, it's game day from Stores. Reese Davis, Jay Billis, Jalen Rose are there as the folks at UConn are getting ready for a big American clash. Until then, though, it's back to Bob and Dan at the Kohl Center, guys.
Well, Chris, the Grateful Red has not had a lot of reasons to be as loud as they are right now. Until now, 11 seconds on the shot clock for Michigan. And their lead, once 15, down to 3. Stauskas, yes, from the elbow.
That's a set play. John Beeline calls it the world's greatest play. He ran in practice today. It's an isolation for Stauskas. Got a bucket.
Timeout called by Bo Ryan. That field goal for Michigan broke a 5-minute and 10-second bucket-free drought. And this a big shot by Stauskas.
Watch, you'll see a little isolation here. Morgan gets out of there. Whole right side is there for him. Pretty good defense by Jackson. But Stauskas again, 6'6". These guys are 6'6", Bob. And when they get in the middle of the lane, they're skilled enough to make shots long enough to shoot over. So that's been the difference in the ballgame.
The last 3:15 now comes down to what?
Well, for Wisconsin, throw the ball in the block, play out of the post, and you got to figure keep the ball out of the lane, either by trapping these ball screens or by hedging. Big guy, get out beyond the free throw line. One thing to look for here, Wisconsin, 3:15, look for a back cut. Wisconsin likes the back cut in late game tight situations, particularly from the corner.
Jackson, little hesitation, dribble, and the finish with the right hand.
That was sweet. They kept Brust in the corner, same kind of isolation. Jackson strong enough to get to the rim, finish right-handed, excellent.
Bo Ryan thought it should have been an end one. Levert, nice ball fake. He was blocked underneath by Kaminsky. A chance on the break for the Badgers. Ball movement sets up Brust. He passes on the three. Muscling it up, too strong, Trayvon Jackson.
Boy, Trayvon Jackson, I thought he anticipated contact coming, and John Beilein wants this slowed down a little bit.
5 on 4, though. Hard for Stauskas to pass that one up. In and out. Brust to the deck. Players scramble all over the place. Possession arrow gives it to Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was tough for Stauskas to turn down a corner jumper. But sometimes a coach is right. You just have a feel that you're not going to make one. Again, right now, Bob, I'm telling you, play out of the post if you're Wisconsin. He tried, but Jordan Morgan too good defensively. He wouldn't let Kaminsky post.
Now Kaminsky comes out to set the screen. Jackson needs some help. Shot clock to 10. Brust drives it. Contact, nothing there, but Brust finds the loose ball with Jordan Morgan flat on his back.
And Morgan stepped in nice. Stauskas stood and watched the play, and Brust was able to get his own. Ball's too one-sided, Bob. It's got to get reversed.
Levert in the lane. This time Wisconsin there. And a timeout called by John Beilein.
And John Beilein is talking to Levert like, look, the ball has to get swung. You cannot play one-sided basketball if you're Michigan.
The last time these two teams met in this building, it was the shot of the college basketball season. Here's Ben Brust trying to force overtime. Mike Bruzewicz uncovered on the baseline, and Brust from mid-court sent us to 5 extra minutes.
With a foul to give.
So who knows what the next minute 28 has in store with these two teams.
Well, if you're Michigan, again, I like going to the rim. The middle's been there. The high ball screen in the middle seems like what they really like. But it's got to be Stauskas or it's got to be Robinson with the ball.
9 minutes ago, Michigan led by 15. It has been 22-8 Wisconsin since then. .14 to shoot. It's in the hands of the freshman, Derek Walton. 8 to shoot. Now it's Stauskas. Kaminsky out on him with 2 to shoot. Fades away. It's a break. And a foul called underneath. And that's going to go against Wisconsin. Bo Ryan thinks it should be a shot clock violation. Was the foul called by Larry Scarrato before the shot clock expired? And it looks like Larry Scarrato is now going to go over to the monitor. Steve McJunkins will join him there. And the determination will be if the foul was called after the shot clock expired. First of all, did the ball hit the rim? Doesn't look like it. Just hit the base of the backboard. Secondly, was the shot clock down to 0 before Larry Scarrato called the foul? And now they're going to say, and that was not a long review, that the foul was called before the shot clock expired.
Larry Scarrato told me I've slowed it down for you. And he said the foul happened with 1 second on the shot clock, so no violation.
It's only the 14th foul, though, on Wisconsin. Still a fresh 35, though, for Michigan. But the Badgers still have 2 fouls to give. 1 minute to go.
was that cold-blooded?
Timeout called by Wisconsin. What a night for Stauskas, and what a huge shot to raise the lead up to 4.
Oh, my goodness. Watch this. Watch him go between the legs here. Little from behind between his legs to in front. Watch this. Well, that's a jump shot. Great stroke by Stauskas. Usually you go left to right from in front. Watch, he goes from behind right there. Steps back. That is as cold-blooded as you will see, and it shuts up 17,000.
We talked to John Beilein earlier today and asked him about Stauskas' production this year and if he saw this coming. He said, look, we had Trey Burke, we had Tim Hardaway Jr., you throw in Glenn Robinson, we have good players. It's hard when you have 4 or 5 really good players to get them all rolling. So last year he played a lot off of the guys that are gone. They're not here this year, and he has stepped up to score just shy of 18 a game.
Yeah, I mean, he's a shooter, obviously, but way more than that. Goes to the rim, has some highlight dunks this year. But the biggest thing about Stauskas, completely confident and a little bit arrogant, and I love both of them in a player.
Shake and bake by Jackson. He draws the foul. That will go against George Morgan. That's his 4th. And Trayvon Jackson at 74% on the season will go to the line.
For the measures, Trayvon Jackson, shooting 2.
And a 7.5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. So now that it's a 3-point game, Wisconsin can just play straight-up defense?
Yeah, they can. And they're not going to foul. The shot will probably be taken with about a 10-second differential. You got to rebound and go.
Comes up short on the second, so it's still a 1-possession game. But Michigan leads by 3.
I'd foul him. I'd foul Walton if I'm going to foul.
Well, they've got fouls to give as well. That's the other thing to think about. That's only team foul number 5 against the Bend.
And, Bob, that's why I said I might just play defense, because now you have to foul. You know, and you had a chance there. You're going to get the ball back with 7-8 seconds and a chance. 3-point game made it a lot tougher, but a chance at least to tie. Now you're going to have to hope.
They play defense in the backcourt.
Crowd is going nuts, as are we. There's no reason not to foul immediately.
That's the last foul to give. Now it's a 1-and-1. Team foul number 6 as Hayes gives that one up.
I just got to make sure Stauskas handles the ball. And then Robinson comes in the middle.
Jackson tried to get the steal. It was knocked out of bounds. No foul was called. That's just a straight knockout by Trey Jackson, so it's still in the backcourt for Michigan.
You know, it's interesting here, Bob. The only guy that really wants the ball is Stauskas. Like, look at Robinson. He's all the way down the floor. He's got to come back.
And there's the foul on Trayvon Jackson. So a 78% free throw shooter, Nick Stauskas, will go to the line to try to make the lead 2 possessions.
And for the measures, Frank Kaminsky replaces Nigel Hayes.
Hayes out, Kaminsky in for Wisconsin.
And for Michigan,
This is a 1-and-1 for Stauskas.
in for Morgan.
This is his first trip to the line.
41-1.
Interesting here. Same, a little less time, but same situation. John Beilein took out Jordan Morgan, brought in Zach Irvin. Now he has 4 fouls, but still, this happened in the Indiana game, and Bo Ryan went right down on the block to Kaminsky against Austin Etherington. He got a 3-point play.
Now Albrecht comes in. He'll replace Derek Walton.
For Walton.
The reason Beilein brought in Irvin and took out Morgan was to switch everything.
Decker for 3. Doesn't get the bounce. Kaminsky kept it alive, but couldn't corral it underneath. And it belongs to Michigan with 15 seconds to go.
And in the measures, Nigel Hayes replaces Frank Kaminsky.
So a Wisconsin team that began the season 16-0, the best start in program history, with wins over Florida, Marquette, St. Louis, Virginia. They're in danger of now dropping 2 in a row.
Well, their defense has really let them down. I mean, it's atypical to say, wow, Wisconsin's a really good offensive team and not so much defensively, but these last 2 games, they've been exposed defensively.
Jackson just picked up his 4th foul. As Gosser comes back on, Duye-Dukin goes to the bench. Hayes sits down as well as Kaminsky comes back in. Still a 1-and-1, and it's Stauskas at the line again.
Big Ten MVP right here, he and Keith Appling. Right there, Nick Stauskas. Played a great, great game. Been great all year.
And he has been terrific today. So Wisconsin needs a miracle, and they'll have to look for 3-point land, you think, to get it done, as Jackson instead takes the easy 2, and Bo Ryan calls timeout. A 5-point lead with 9.2 seconds to go. And you start to put this, assuming Michigan stays in the lead, in perspective for the Wolverines. They start off the year as a top 10 team, ranked 9th in the AP poll to begin the season. Then they lose Mitch McGary, and they drop all the way out of the polls altogether. They're 4-0 to start the Big Ten schedule. You might doubt how solid that start is. They've got a win over Minnesota, but Northwestern, Nebraska, Penn State, their other wins. But this would be a real defining win on the road if they get this one.
Hey, this is a 91.5% win percentage in this building. Michigan's never done it. A top 2 team, top 4 team coming into this week. This win is monstrous, but as we talked about earlier, Bob, 8 out of the next 10 or 7 out of the next 9 are absolute bears. You know how you feel as a coach? You think, man, at least I have a good ride home.
Before you start worrying about the next one. And Gosser with a tackle in the corner on Derek Walton. So he'll go to the line at the other end, and he comes up holding his right elbow. So Josh Gosser fouls out. He had 13 in the first half, but only 1 field goal in the second half.
Yeah, and that was big. He I felt, had it going. You could tell in the look in his eyes that he really was going to play well, shoot the ball well today. And just, they couldn't find him in the second half. He didn't really make himself available. He was invisible. And that really hurt Wisconsin.
He only took 2 shots in the second half after scoring 13 in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's a function of him. But it's also a function of his teammates not understanding, because his stroke looked great. And as I said, his look today was of, hey, look, I'm ready. Let's go. Give me the ball. Nobody did.
Even in the short term for Michigan, this is the first of 3 straight against ranked opponents. Here against Wisconsin tonight. Down to 7 seconds to go. Jackson for 3. That's off the mark. Down to the last 2 seconds, a foul given by Kaminsky on Stauskas, and that makes it academic. And you've got Iowa and Michigan State just this week on the horizon for John Beilein's
Well,
team.
Michigan State, you know, obviously that's a rival, but as we've talked about, Iowa has 2 of everything. In fact, Iowa came in here and really outplayed Wisconsin and had a little problem. Coach McCaffrey got a couple technicals. The game got away, then they made a comeback. But Iowa's no joke, and obviously Michigan State with game day coming in there. How about, you know, a tough week for Michigan State? We go to Michigan State for Super Tuesday with Indiana, and then Michigan comes in there. So fun week in the Big Ten as always.
I think Iowa has already announced that every game the rest of the season for them at home at Carver Hawkeye has been sold out.
And that's so great, because that is a terrific atmosphere that has been down for the last few years.
We'll talk about terrific. This is a terrific win for John Beilein's team. They improved to 13-4 on the season. They are now 5-0 and tied for first in the Big Ten. Coming up next, College Game Day presented by State Farm. Thanks for watching. Back to the studio.